Everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to practice our front body opening sequence. We've completed our side body, last week our back body, and this week we're going to focus on that front body. So for today's class, you will need 2 blocks. And to begin, we are going to come into supported fish pose. So supported fish is where we take 1 block and place it in between our shoulder blades. And then we take the second block at a lower height and place it underneath our head for support. Sometimes we use a soft blanket or pillow underneath our head as well. Whatever feels comfortable, come into that pose. And I know that sometimes I offer assists in that pose, and obviously we can't do so. So just make sure that you feel comfortable. The focus obviously is to open up the front body. So any position or prop that allows you to feel the shoulders draw down with gravity and then begin to open up the front body. That's really the focus of this first pose today. So I'm in a different location. We snuck up to Michigan for the weekend to get away for a little bit. So that's where I am, and I don't have my blocks with me. So I think I'm just going to use the cushion from a seat over here. So same thing, cushion from a couch or pillow, whatever feels best. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and get into that opening sequence. I'll show you my modification with my props, and then I'm going to come back to a seated position to help walk you through this. So once you get into your position, take a couple of long, smooth, deep breaths, a couple cleansing breaths. Let's filter out anything that is stagnant within our respiratory system. Taking a nice inhale through the nose, and then an exhale through the mouth. Maybe another one of those. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then let's return back just to our normal breath. Observing that breath as you settle into your position. Remember, in supported fish, we can have legs extended. We can have soles of the feet together. If our lower back is achy, we can bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet down to our mat. Let the knees fall together. So find a comfortable position for that lower body. Make sure that the upper body feels comfortable as you slowly begin to open up the front body. Long, smooth breath. As you begin to settle into this pose, notice those physical sensations in the front body. Observe what pops up in the mind. And then the focus right now is to tune into the breath. See how the breath is feeling in the body right now. Continue to settle here in supported fish. Supported fish is an invigorating restorative pose, opening up the heart and the lungs, breaking up congestion in the lungs and the sinuses. Oftentimes when we sit, as we may be hunched over our desks, our computers, our phones, our breath becomes shallow and stagnant. This right here, supported fish that you're in, is one of the best poses to access a deep diaphragmatic breath. Helps us find a balance in our agitated nervous system. This pose will help us absorb nutrients better within our digestive system, will help us relieve tension in the shoulders and in the neck, and helps to regulate our breath. So before we continue to focus on that breath, let's observe our body as it comes to our mat. So feeling supported by our props and the earth below us, we'll begin at the crown of the head and begin to find a full body scan Working our way nice and slowly through the body, noticing where there's pockets of tension, where there's aches, where there's pains, taking mental note of those places as we'll move through our practice tonight. Taking a quiet moment to take some inventory of what's happening internally. Once you found your way through your entire body, taking your time to get there, we'll refocus on the breath. So in this wonderful position, we'll take a nice deep inhale through the tip of the nose. Feel that breath, that space that's allowed to bring the breath down deep into the belly. And then a slow, steady exhale out through the tip of the nose. Nice, full, drawn-in breaths. And a slow, steady exhale to release. Right here, just work on the length and the quality of your breath as you continue to marinate in supported fish pose. We'll go ahead and take 3 more cycles of breath. At the end of that third exhale, slowly begin to bend the knees if they are already not bent. And we'll gently roll off of our props onto one side of our body, pausing there in the fetal position. Taking a moment to set an intention for our class. Our group is working on front body opening, but take this moment to decide on what you would like to work on while you're on your mat. And then when you're ready, go ahead and push yourself up to a comfortable seated position where you can move your props off of your mat. And then we're going to come back down onto our bellies. So once you get onto your belly, you're going to bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. Spread the fingers out nice and wide. Make sure that the arms are parallel with one another. And you're going to inhale, lift yourself into Sphinx pose. So pressing down with the tops of the feet, feeling an equal balance between left and right hip, trying to draw the belly just slightly off of the mat, and most importantly, feel the heart pull forward. Take one more full deep breath. Slowly lower, and now this time, walk your hands back. Hands now under the shoulders. Shoulder blades pull together, elbows draw towards one another. We're going to lift in Cobra. Make sure that the feet are slightly separated. You're pressing in with the tops of those feet, and then inhale, lift, Cobra pose. Feel the heart and the lungs open up. Pressing down through the tops of our feet. The power of this little back bend comes from our legs, so make sure that the legs have energy. Pull your chest forward as you press down. Try and soften your shoulders down the back. Hold for one more cycle of breath. And slowly lower. Now you have the option to come back into Sphinx with the elbows under the shoulders. Come back into Cobra with the hands underneath the shoulders. Or you can try practicing an upward facing dog where we'll lift everything off of the mat except for our hands and the tops of our feet. If you'd like to try, begin same thing as Cobra. And when you're ready, inhale, lift. Lifting off. Pull that front body forward. Full deep breath. And slowly lower. Good. Now let's take our right hand. We're going to bring the right forearm parallel with the front of the mat. We'll take our left hand, reach back for the inside of that left foot, and begin to draw that left foot down, encouraging the foot to the outside of our left hip, beginning to open up that front quad. Full deep breath. Last full cycle of breath. And gently release. Now parallel that left arm and grab for the right foot. Last full cycle of breath. And release. Good. Staying here for one more stretch. Let's start with the right arm. We're going to bend in the right arm right here at the elbow, 90 degrees. And then we'll bring that arm down. And we're gently going to roll onto that right shoulder. So maybe stacking left hip on top of right. Head can rest on the mat or on a block. We can also bend through that left leg. Bring that left foot to the floor. We should be opening up the shoulder here, targeting the chest and the front of our shoulder. Big deep breaths. Taking one more cycle of breath. And then rolling back through center. And we'll come to the left side. So this time bending in the left arm, bringing it out. Make sure the elbow comes right out from the shoulder, and then we'll gently roll onto the left side of our body. Taking one more cycle of breath. We'll return back to tabletop, or back to our bellies, pushing up into tabletop pose. Now from tabletop, taking a nice big inhale. And with your exhale, round through your back. Drop your chin to your chest, tailbone towards your heels. Inhale, lifting, tailbone comes up, crown of the head comes up, belly drops down. Exhale, releasing that air, finding a nice big cat shape back. Inhale, lifting in cow. Now moving with the flow of your breath between cat and cow pose, warming up the body. Go ahead and take 5 cycles of breath now to find any movement or stillness that your body needs. 5 cycles of breath. Good. After your 5 cycles of breath, finding movement or stillness, we're going to come into downward dog. So we'll walk the hands, one handprint forward, tuck the toes, lift the hips up nice and high, downward dog. Walk your dog, get comfortable, lift the hips nice and high, shoulder blades down the back, navel in. Taking one more deep breath. And then slowly lower those knees down. We'll walk the hands forward and we'll open up the shoulders by dropping the heart down. This is where we keep the hips right above the knees in puppy pose. Softness behind the heart. Big deep breath. Last cycle of breath. Good. Slowly tuck the toes under as you walk the hands back. And then walk 5 to 6 steps forward to the top of your mat and standing forward fold. Feel the backs of the legs begin to open. Feel the front body nice and heavy, the head, the shoulders, everything hanging heavy. When you're ready, place your hands on your shins and inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Release the breath and fold, root through the soles of the feet, and then inhale, lift all the way up, arms reaching out and up. Exhale, hands in front of your hearts. Good. Let's move together. Sun salutations to warm up the body. So start at the top of your mat. When you're ready, inhale, draw the arms out and up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhaling, fold. Plant the hands, send the feet back through plank. As you exhale, lower through chaturanga. Inhale, lift in cobra or upward dog. And then exhale, tuck the toes. 2 deep breaths in downward dog. When you're ready, bend the knees. Travel to the top of your mat. Inhaling to lift halfway. Exhaling to fold. Inhaling, rise, arms sweeping out and up. Little back bend when you get to the top. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Good. Inhale, drawing out and up. Move the body with the breath. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, feet come back through plank. Lower through chaturanga. Inhale, lift in cobra. Tuck the toes, 2 deep breaths in down dog. When you're ready, bend those knees, travel to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift halfway when you get there. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, arms sweeping out and up. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Good. One more time, moving with your breath. Take your time to get back to the top of your mat. Once you get there, let's leave our hands at heart center for a moment, closing our eyes, smoothing out our breath. Refocusing the mind on our intention in this present moment. When you're ready, flutter those eyes open. Continue to work on the breath, but inhale, draw the arms out and up. Exhale, open those arms into goalpost arms. Shine the heart forward. Find that tiny back bend. Maybe drop the head back slightly. Feel that front body open. Taking one more deep breath here with our goalpost arms. And then inhale those hands back to center. Exhale, back to our hearts. Good. We'll drop the arms behind the back. This time we'll clasp the arms. Clasping the hands, interlacing the fingers. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale, drop those hands down. Draw the heart forward. Full deep breaths. Continue to open up that front body. Try and keep the palms as close together as you possibly can. Taking one more cycle of breath. Good, and gently release those hands. Now, just as we did in a prone position, we'll come to a standing balance position to open up our quads. So let's start by rooting through the left foot. We'll move the right leg first. So we'll balance on that left foot. And if you can, see if you can grab for, once again, the outside of the right foot. Now stay in balance. See if you can draw the knees together towards one another. When our hips are tight, our quads are tight, we bring the bent leg out. We want to bring the knees back together and slowly begin to stretch through the quad, trying to keep the hips nice and square, the knees as close together as possible, softness in our shoulders, and full deep breath. Take one more cycle of breath and gently release. Good, shake it out. If you need to come to a wall, you can come to a wall and bring the standing leg hand to that wall for support. All right, we'll shift our weight over into that right foot. We'll grab for the outside of the left leg. I don't know how I'm going to do any more seated postures. Got a friend on my mat. Same thing, draw the knees together. Feel the opening in the quad. See if you can find energy and length through that quad to continue to stretch. And of course, we'll try and keep that front body nice and square. Go ahead and take 2 more cycles of breath. At the end of that second exhale, gently release that left leg. Good. All right, we're going to come to a series of postures to open up the front body. And because the focus is the front body today, and we don't always focus on the front body, a lot of these postures will be held. So we're not going to flow through class. We're going to come to these postures and take a couple deep breaths and then just kind of settle. So to begin, we're actually going to come back down onto our knees. We're going to stretch through right here, the fronts of our ankles and our shins. So in order to do so, I'll come down onto my knees and I'll tuck my toes underneath. If you want to take a blanket and place it underneath your shins or your legs for some extra support, you can. And if you have your 2 blocks, you may want to bring them by your side right here. So what we're going to do is, from this seated position, we're slowly going to begin to lean back. And as you lean back, you'll begin to feel that opening in the front of the ankles. Kind of a little pocket we don't really get to visit too often. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. Try and breathe through the discomfort. But if your knees, your ankles are really not feeling this pose, please come out and just return maybe to a child's pose. Keep shifting that weight backwards. Take one more cycle of breath. Good. Gently release. And just like we did when we opened up the soles of the feet last week, we're going to come back into tabletop and we're just going to hit the tops of our feet on the mat to stretch that out. Good. Now from this tabletop position, we're going to come once again into that low lunge like we did last week. So we're going to go ahead. Let's bring the right foot forward. We'll keep the left foot back. And we'll start by opening up that front left hip flexor. So ebbing and flowing forward with our breath until we find a spot that feels real good. And once you find a spot to settle, we'll take a couple of deep breaths here. Good. Taking your last cycle of breath into that front left hip flexor, that front left pocket. Good. Return back to a neutral position. And then if you can, again, you may want to bring something underneath your knee. We're going to try and find a quad stretch. So we're going to bend through that left leg and see if we can grab. If we can't reach it with our hand, we can use the assistance of a prop, or we can just send our hand there with the knee bent. And even if the hand and the ankle or foot don't meet, that's okay. We're continuing to draw open that quad. Trying to keep the hips nice and square. Continue with long, smooth breaths. When you're ready, let's gently release. Good, and we'll come on to the second side. So swapping out, bringing the right foot back, the left foot forward. Same thing, hands on the hips or hands on that front left leg. We'll just work our way forward until we find our sweet spot and we'll settle there. Once you've settled, take the breath and send it into that right hip flexor if you can. Last cycle of breath. Good, and once again, if it is accessible, we'll try and come into this quad stretch. Square off the hips here for your last cycle of breath. And then gently release. Good. Now from here, we're going to come on down to our bellies. And once you get down to your belly, see if you can draw the soles of your feet together. So like a bound angle pose, but from a prone position. And as far as you can get them together, if they don't touch, that's okay. We're just going to come into kind of a frog legs with a cobra upper body. So once you get to your feet to a comfortable position, if they hover, maybe bring them down for stability. We'll inhale, lift, opening that front body from the hips all the way up to the shoulders. Take one more cycle of breath. Good. Gently release. Coming back to your belly. Walk those hands back towards your body. Bring the knees apart, the big toes together. Take a couple deep breaths in child's pose. Go ahead and find 3 more cycles of breath in child's pose. Good. And at the end of that cycle of breath, go ahead and push your way back up, coming to a kneeling position. And once you get to that kneeling position, see if you can draw the weight off of the legs. Feet or knees should be about hip distance apart. Taking a couple of long, deep breaths. All right, we're going to try and do our best to keep our hips pressed forward. So let's go ahead and tuck our toes under like you would for getting into downward dog. And then we'll take our hands and we'll place them in our back pockets. We'll take a big inhale. And with your exhale, try and draw your elbows together. Try and press your hips forward. And if you're comfortable, drop the back of the head just slightly. Our modified camel pose. One more cycle of breath as you continue to feel that front body open. Good. Gently release. Now from here, come slightly down onto those bent feet. And when you're ready, inhale, draw the arms out and up. Exhale into those back pockets. Slowly lower. Inhaling up. Exhaling lower. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, open that front body. And lower. Good. Let's come down to our seats and extend our legs out. We're going to try a reverse plank here. So again, requiring lots of opening in the front bodies and the shoulders, the hips and the quads. So we'll place our hands behind us, fingertips pointing towards the body, bringing the soles of the feet to press out in front of us, bringing the inside of our legs to touch. And when you're ready, we're going to root through those heels and through the palms, and we'll lift as high as the hips will go, trying to take 3 cycles of breath in reverse plank. Good. At the end of that third exhale, let's slowly lower down. Very good. And release. Now from here, we'll continue to open up the hips. So we'll bring the soles of the feet together. We'll start from a seated position. So sitting nice and tall, making sure that our shoulders are stacked underneath our hips. We want our back to be nice and flat because we're focusing on opening the hips. We're not focusing on opening the back. So with our hands grounded either on our ankles or the soles of our feet, we'll take a big inhale to lengthen our spine. And then an exhale to fold forward. Good. Slowly peel off of this, keeping our lower body where it's at. And then we're going to come on down to our backs to continue this opening in the hips. So soles of the feet stay together. Make whatever adjustments you need once you get to your back. We'll stay here for a few rounds of breath. Last cycle of breath. Use the hands on the outsides of the legs to draw those knees together. From there, you're going to go ahead and grab your block. Make sure that it's within arm's reach. Walk the feet nice and close towards those sit bones. We'll come into our inversion. As you press through the soles of the feet, inhale, lift the tailbone, lift one vertebrae at a time. Slide that block underneath. And we'll settle here in supported bridge pose. Come back to the breath. Tune back into the body. See if you can feel any of those benefits of our inversion, our heart above our head, begin to take effect. If you feel comfortable and rooted, you can straighten one leg at a time or both at the same time to continue opening up our hip flexors. Option always to stay in supported bridge though. Go ahead and take 3 more cycles of breath. At the end of that third cycle, go ahead and press your weight into your feet, lifting your tailbone, releasing that prep, Drawing those knees in towards your chest, rocking side to side. When you're ready, rock the length of your spine, coming up to a seat, and we'll twist out our practice. So from here, let's go ahead and center that left leg in front of you, bent at the knee. We'll bring the sole of that left foot onto the top of that right leg, the right thigh, and we're going to come into a twist. So with the left leg forward, we're going to twist to the left. If you have that block by you, you may want it to bring the earth a little closer to you. Before we move, though, we'll inhale, lift our spine and lengthen. Exhale, twisting to the left, deer leg, simple twist. Coming into this pose, we regulate our metabolism and we calm our mind. We should feel stretch in our spine, our torso, our shoulders, and our hips. Feel that you're twisting from your spine in their tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. Take one more cycle of breath on this side. And then inhale, lift, unwind, and we'll come to our second side. So we'll shift our legs over. Now right leg leads. So that right foot on the top of our left thigh. Take an inhale to lengthen. And exhale, twisting to the right. We'll take one more cycle of breath on this side. We'll inhale, come back through center. Good. Now we'll come and find our way down onto our backs. Finding any final props you need for our final pose to come. Let's level out that spine by drawing the knees into the chest. Finding some symmetry here. Staying with knees to chest, or maybe drawing ourselves into happy baby pose. And then go ahead and release. Finding your way into our final pose, into Savasana. Taking a couple of cleansing breaths here to settle into our final pose. wiggle in your feet and your fingers. Roll in your wrists and your ankles. Slowly begin to find movement back into your body. Taking a nice big inhale here, filling the belly completely, pushing that belly away from you. And with your exhale, feel that belly fall. Go ahead, reach your arms up overhead. Find a full body stretch. One last opening for that front body. And then let's gently roll onto the right side of our body and pause there in the fetal position. Taking everything in, the eyes closed, the internal landscape, listening to the sounds around you, the smells around you, taking one last mindful moment in this present moment. Feeling all those benefits of moving through your practice. When you're ready, go ahead and help yourself up to a comfortable seated position. We will meet with our hands together in front of our hearts. Thank you for committing this time to your practice, to getting on your mat, breaking up your week. Next week, we will practice the feminine sequence to honor our holiday coming up, Mother's Day on Sunday. So for now, for our final focus of our going from side body, back body to front body, it's with gratitude that I close this practice by saying Namaste.